Hey guys, it's Tiggy Maximus, episode 224 of the Tiggy Maximus Talks on Spotify and YouTube. Thank you guys for listening to the podcast and also watching the podcast. Spreading the word about the podcast to your friends and family and everyone in between. Also, thank you also for donating to the podcast. There's a link on my Spotify episode where it takes you to the donation page, and it allows you guys to donate to the podcast. The link is also on my YouTube episode where it takes you to the Spotify donation page. So feel free to donate as much as you want. I think the bare minimum is like 99 cents a month. So anything is appreciated, guys. So on episode 224 of the Tiggy Maximus Talks, we're going to talk about, let's do 3 comedy shows. There were 2 comedy shows I went to on April 27th, Sunday. Both were at the Mic Drop Comedy Club. And then we had another show also at the Mic Drop Comedy Club on May 1st with Tymay Lay. I guess she's a TikTok star, and I didn't know about her until like maybe a week before the show. My friend Jack wanted to see her, so why not? And we're also going to talk about the NBA playoffs Final Four and the NHL Final Four as well. So let's get into it, guys. Sports and comedy. So the first show I went to on April 27th, it was the Major Malfunction show at the Mic Drop Comedy Club, run by Cheryl Sunstein and Diana Puig. And I hadn't been to this show for a while, so I owe it to myself to come back and see how the show is going. And I gotta say, it was a fun show. Brian Hartwell got to be the host throughout the whole show, and he got to play some jokes for the crowd, and he didn't do too bad. Did well as a host. I would say Brian had a few good jokes while hosting. I want to say Brian was a 8.3 out of 10 for his comedy. Next we had Veronica Burgess. I've seen her perform maybe once or twice before, and I think the last time I might have seen her might have been at I think it was called the Playhouse down in Chula Vista, I think. That's been a while. But she was quite funny. Had had some interesting jokes. Apparently, one joke was related to marriage, especially since someone was in the back of the crowd. I would say that Veronica was 8.5 out of 10. Then we got Cheryl Sunstein that went up next, and she went up for a little bit. She talked about her food delivery job for like the elder people. She had a few good jokes too, and did pretty well. I want to say that she was 8.4 out of 10. Next we have Diana Puig. the other producer of Major Malfunction. Apparently, it was also her birthday, so she got to dance and perform. And she did talk about her haircut. Um, and and she did talk about how she was trying to do a I guess you could say what was it, a bike trick or a skateboard trick at the skate park, and I think she landed wrong, and she told us about it. And I guess the funny part was to delete the video evidence before calling 911. um, so that was kind of cool to hear. Um, Diana Puig, I want to say she was an 8.5 out of 10. The next person to go up, first time seeing this guy, is G. He had this whole bit about time, and he was so smooth about it. That was actually pretty cool. I want to say Izzy was a 8.6 for being very smooth with the bit, and the crowd really was. They were impressed that you could do so much with the word time and things about time. So um, next up was Sarah Lynn, and Sarah Lynn was pretty funny. I couldn't help but laugh at her joke about filters. Um, when she was at the gym putting filters on, um, how it's kind of workout, taking selfies before you work out. Um, and then there was a filter joke that just got me laughing because she said it um, in a different way, and then it made you realize which word she was actually saying. Um, and that was pretty funny, and it made everybody laugh after everybody kind of had to think about it. So, Sarah Lynn, I want to say she was an 8.7 out of 10. Um, the last person to go up was a singer who also tells jokes, but she combined both, Margaret Starr, and she performed for us, did a few songs, and it was quite funny. So Margaret Starr, I think she was an 8.7 out of 10. Um, I gotta say, it was a fun show from start to finish. Nice to see a few new faces, and seeing this lineup make the crowd laugh a lot throughout the whole night. So kudos to Major Malfunction, and I can't wait to go back another time. So after that show, I got to see for the first ever edition of Play Stupid Games, Win Stupid Prizes, which is produced by McKay Bushnell, um, and I guess is also co-produced by Alex Petit. Um, it was an interesting concept because McKay gets to dress up, be our game show host, and apparently he has some, I guess what you call a gun show, when he takes off the jacket. So that was pretty cool. McKay had quite a few jokes, got us all warmed up for the show, and did quite well as a host throughout the whole night. Uh, McKay, I gotta say, was 8.5 out of 10, telling jokes and hosting and being the game show host. Um, and First person to go after Kyle was Kyle Wang. He has some new jokes. I guess he had talked about um, I guess he wasn't born yet for 9/11. If it gives you an indication of how old he was. Um, so that was interesting. Um, Kyle was pretty funny for his set. I want to say he did get people laughing at a few jokes of his, and I gotta say Kyle is probably a 8.5 out of 10. Um, Next person to go up, I believe, was Jackie Van Tyne, and first time seeing her, and she has some jokes about um, being a stripper and talked about dating older guys and why it's not as great as it sounds. And um, so she was quite funny about talking about being a stripper and dating and stuff. And I would kind of say maybe half, at least half of what she said was pretty funny with the crowd. So she did pretty well. I want to say that Jackie was 8.5 out of 10. Next, we have Chuck Myers. Um, he did talk to us about being a nurse, and I mean, you know, I guess you, I guess there are some misconceptions about being a male nurse. Um, so I believe Chuck had addressed that, and yeah, and uh, yeah, and Chuck was pretty funny. I know this crowd liked him a lot, and Chuck, I want to say Chuck was a 8.6 out of 10. Um, Next we have Michael Hall, and Michael Hall, funny guy. He did have this bit about his, I think he said his mom or grandmother, and I think it was something about learning how to square up and learn from his mom or grandmother um, when he was like younger. I guess it didn't work out for him, but that's core memory, I guess, right? So, yeah, Michael Hall. I want to say he was an 8.5 out of 10. Next up, we have Bob Hansen. Always likes bringing the energy to the stage. Um, Funny as always. I always like how he has a bit where he can say a lot of things in one breath. That's always impressive. And I gotta say Bob was an 8.7 out of 10. The last person to go up was Alex Petit, and um, Alex didn't too bad. Um, he had a few good jokes in there. Um, and he did bring out some good laughs from the crowd, and that's always a good thing. Um, and honestly, I want to say Alex was a 8.5 out of 10. And since this is kind of a game show, um, I believe Kyle got to face off with Jackie, and apparently the game was to put um, what was it a cotton ball? uh, Putting cotton ball in your mouth, and you have to say a word, and then you keep going back and forth until one person can no longer keep the, I guess it was a cotton ball in their mouth anymore. And apparently, the winner who could put the most cotton balls in their mouth and say the word was Jackie. And Kyle ran out the room, and well, Jackie's the winner. She gets to move on to the final round. Next up was Chuck Myers versus Michael Hall, and I guess they played the game where you put the name of something or someone on an index card and put it on your forehead, and you're supposed to ask people questions. And apparently, I guess one of the names was Joe Rogan, and I guess in a way, Chuck Myers beat Michael Hall, so Chuck Myers got to go to the final round. And then um, Bob Hansen got to face off with Alex Petit, and I guess their game was to name all the white NBA basketball players. um, and as they went back and forth, I guess Alex Petit could not name a player when it was his turn after Bob went. They went a few rounds, but I guess the final time was Bob said someone who played in the NBA, and then Alex could not respond and match one for one. So Bob Hansen wins and goes on to the final round. And I guess the final round was Jackie versus Bob versus Chuck. And apparently it was who could get, um, I guess, a food item thrown into their mouth the fastest or the most. And apparently, I guess, I want to say Bob Hansen probably won. So, um, that was fun to see, and had a good time. Can't wait to see this game again. And I would say overall the show was, an 8.75 out of 10, just because it's a little different concept to comedy, but at least you incorporate comedy into it. So, and then I did go to another show at the mic drop. It was nice to kind of show up quite a bit after not being there for a while. This was, I guess, on May 1st. Tymay Lay. And she's a TikTok star. I guess she's somewhere in San Diego. And she's just doing a lot of skits by the pool, or just skits in general. And then she was like promoting products. The name of the product was funny, and how she promotes the product was funny. So the show started off with the host, Ashley Chalez. And Ashley was pretty funny throughout the whole time she was up there. Um, I think she had told us how she was um, saying some Spanish words and also teaching people the Spanish words. Um, and I think she had gone to other countries to teach English. Um, so I want to say Ashley was a 8.7 out of 10. Lisa Gilbert was next. Always great to see her. And she talked about her triplets and then being black and white. Um, and she did really well with the crowd, and she relates a lot to the crowd, or the crowd relates a lot to her. Um, so I would say that Lisa was a 8.8 out of 10. And then we get to Tymay Lay, and she did talk a little bit about her experiences at 7-Eleven, and um, and then she brought out her products or the video for the products, and she actually got to give away those products. Um, what was it? One was like kind of like a what do you call it? A mace, but it was her version of the mace. Um, and huh. I wonder if it smelled like it was either like gas or feces or something. And if you sprayed that in the face of a predator or something, or someone who harasses you, it's a good product to have. Um, and then uh, another product she had, I think the name was Good Head, and um, she just kept saying it, and it makes you think one thing while it's another. It's kind of a cool product to have, and somebody did win the crowd, or someone was very eager enough to win it. So, um, and I had a good time. I want to say that Tymay Lay, she was 8.4 out of 10. So, um, so I've been following the NBA playoffs, and guess what? We are down to our final four teams. The number one seed, Oklahoma City Thunder. Number one in the West. They they beat the Denver Nuggets in 7 games. They won by blowout in Game 7. Pulled away, and Chet Holmgren and what was it? Shea Gillis Alexander, SGA. They kept their composure, and they pulled away, and they did what they were supposed to do as the number one team in the West and in the NBA. So I believe at one point Denver was ahead 2 games to 1, but the Thunder came back, not only down 1-0 and 2-1, but they came back and won um, won the series. Um, Now they get to face the number 6 seed, the Minnesota Timberwolves, who handled their business. Steph Curry wasn't so much available for the Warriors, but it was interesting that the very first game, the Warriors got the jump on the Minnesota Timberwolves, but then the next 4 games was all the Minnesota Timberwolves. So they were up 1-0, but Wolves came back and won 4-1. So, I mean, Ant-Man, Anthony Edward, and Gobert, and Julius Randle. Those guys pretty much handled their business and made sure they won very soundly. And it's a 1 versus 6. So, should be a good series. I want to see Ant-Man playing against Shea Gillis Alexander. I want to see how that goes. I want to say the Thunder should beat the Minnesota Timberwolves and move on to the NBA Finals. And then on the other side, you got the Indiana Pacers, number 4 seed. They took care of business and beat the Cleveland Cavaliers, the number 1 seed of the East. Spider, I think he was hurt, and Garland was probably hurt too, so they couldn't handle Tyrese Halliburton. And the guy is just a monster. Handled his business and destroyed the number 1 team of the East 4-1. And they move on to the finals. And well, they're going to face the number 3 seed, the New York Knicks, who beat up on the defending champions, the Boston Celtics, the number 2 seed of the East. Beat them 4 games to 2. And that game 6 was a blowout. And Jalen Brunson, he's leading the way. He's healthy. And we're going to see Tyrese Halliburton go up against Jalen Brunson. It's funny because in the WWE episode of SmackDown, Tyrese Halliburton was in New York, and I guess Jalen Brunson was also in the crowd, and he got the face off in the WWE ring. I think they both have steel chairs, but they did not touch each other. But it was kind of cool to see those guys in the WWE ring. And then it turns out, fast forward to the NBA playoffs, they're going to face each other in the Eastern Conference Finals. I would say the Knicks might have a good chance to win the East Conference Finals, but I'm actually pulling for the Indiana Pacers. So I'm actually hoping for Thunder and Pacers, and I think the Thunder are going to win the NBA championship, their first ever championship as the Oklahoma City Thunder. And then in the NHL, in the Stanley Cup Finals, or the Stanley Cup Playoffs, we're down to our Final Four as well. We got the Edmonton Oilers, who they're just on a tear. So after they lost the first 2 games to the LA Kings, they won the 4th straight against the LA Kings to win the series 4-2. And then they went and faced off with the Vegas Golden Knights, and they beat them 4-1. So in a sense, after being down 2-0 to the LA Kings, they end up winning 8 of their next 9 games. And that places them in the Western Conference Finals. And so the Edmonton Oilers are the 3rd best team out of the Pacific Division. So, and then they're going to be facing the number 2 team out of the I guess you could say the Central Division. Because the Dallas Stars, they defeated the Winnipeg Jets. I guess it was what was it? Yeah, I want to say Game 7. So they won 4 games to 3. Dallas. Was it 7? I feel it was 6. Dallas Stars beat the Winnipeg Jets in 6 because, for one, the Winnipeg Jets, I believe, were the higher seed because they did win the President's Trophy. So it'll be the Stars and the Oilers on one side of the Western Conference Finals, and on the other side, you got the Carolina Hurricanes, who defeated the the best team of the East, the Washington Capitals. I think they beat them like 4-1 or something. So Alex Ovechkin, who ended up becoming the all-time goal scoring leader, but his Capitals could not handle the Carolina Hurricanes. I think they lost like 4-1. And then the defending Stanley Cup champions, the Florida Panthers, um, they defeated the Toronto Maple Leafs in Game 7 by blowout in Game 7 in Toronto. So the the Florida Panthers are going to face the Carolina Hurricanes, and that should be a good series. And who knows, we might see a rematch of the Stanley Cup Finals from last year, Oilers and Panthers. Um, I want to say the Florida Panthers will probably win their series with the Hurricanes, and um, you know, I want to say it will probably be um, the Dallas Stars. So it's going to be the Dallas Stars over the Edmonton Oilers and the Florida Panthers over the Carolina Hurricanes. And in the Stanley Cup final, I want to say the Dallas Stars will defeat the Florida Panthers. That's my pick. But there you have it, guys. On my next episode, I'm going to talk about the Chargers schedule. I'm going to give you my predictions for how their 2025 is going to go. They have at least 5 primetime games on the schedule. It's looking pretty good for the Chargers. They got a team, they got a coach, an offense, a defense. Let's hope they put it all together and make that Super Bowl run. Go Chargers. All right, guys, that's it for me. This is Tiggy Maximus signing off. Gotta be doing some things tonight. And you know the saying goes, boom. Tiggy Maximus signing off. Baby. All right, later, guys. Booyaka!